Hey Internet, this is the 5th video in my series on starting a career as a composer and sound designer. Again, I've taken a talk that I gave that was about an hour long and split it up into a bunch of different sections. And this section is going to be on marketing yourself. So different tools that you can have for staying in touch and staying aware of people and what they're doing, different ways in which you can promote yourself and begin to generate those relationships that can lead to, one, fantastic relationships, but two, possible gigs in the future. So here you go. How to market yourself. So first thing you want to do is to catalog all of your peers and professional contacts that you have, or begin doing it if you haven't been doing that already. This is essentially the replacement for the traditional Rolodex, a customer relationship manager. So I have a few options there: HubSpot, Salesforce, and MailChimp. I know HubSpot and MailChimp have email marketing functionality with them. I'm not sure about Salesforce. I've never actually used it myself. But these are fantastic because you can write down information about every person, or you can save and document information about every person you speak with, their contact information. And what I think is the most important thing about it is that all of these services track the last time that you had any sort of contact with them. MailChimp and HubSpot, I know, have integrations with Gmail and Outlook. So when you send someone an email, it logs that you sent that person an email in HubSpot or MailChimp, which can make it great if you want to stay in touch with people and stay on the top of their mind. No one's going to think about you for any music or audio or game implementation work if they don't remember that you exist. So part of the job is just pinging people that you have worked with before or would like to, or are just great people in the first place, and reminding them that you exist and catching up. But ultimately, when you're doing this, you do not want to be doing it from a place of give me work. It should always be about them. So what I used to always do is every couple of months, I would go through HubSpot. I would look at the people that I haven't talked to in the longest, and I would shoot them an email just to say hi, ask them about the things that they were up to the last time that we talked, and then I might have a template for the second half of the email where I went into what I've been up to, for the last few months or something. So that's how to use a customer relationship manager on top of saving specific information that you want to bring up or remember about them as well. You need a website. It used to be an optional thing. Now it's definitely a necessity, for sure. And ultimately, you want to have plenty of work examples up there. People will probably go to your website and then ignore everything else that you have and just immediately want to access your work examples. So have some reels, but have some specific reels. I think it's far better to have very specific reels that you can send to people depending on the project that they're working on, as opposed to catch-all reels that show every single possible style or thing you've ever done. If someone is making a horror video game, are they going to care at all about the romantic comedy short film that you scored? Probably not. So have a number of different reels tailored for your purposes. And also make sure all of your examples are to picture. Just hearing a sound on its own can be cool, but ultimately, in this line of work, you are creating music or audio for something else. And that adds a whole nother dimension to what you're doing. So people want to know that not only can you write music, but you can write music that fits a thing. So make sure all of your examples have picture to go along with it. Or, have music that's on its own, but then also have that in addition to examples with picture. All right, know what you're good at and know what inspires you. This hits on the have reels for specific purposes, but even more than that, I feel like you need to have this mindset in how you always talk about and present yourself. You don't ever want to be someone that can do something. Whenever you're talking to someone that you want to work with, you need to be the person to do whatever it is that they have. Again, that whole horror video game, romantic comedy short film. If you're trying to convince someone that you should work on their horror video game, but you have all of these romantic comedy things, but like, yeah, I could do horror, and the developer is looking at your portfolio and talking to you, they're not going to be convinced. But if you are just really great at romantic comedies, and that is just naturally your aesthetic, and whenever you write in that style, you kill it. You do such a good job, and people are thrilled about it. Look for people making romantic comedies, because they'll see it in you. They'll see the excitement that you have about working on their project, and they'll see how great your work is in that style, and they'll immediately trust you too. So know what you're good at, know what inspires you, seek those kinds of gigs. And then tie yourself to brands, people, organizations, and events. So I am involved with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra Overture Council, and it's a organization of professionals in Chicago that's affiliated with the Chicago Symphony. I run a couple events for them every year, and it's really fulfilling. I've made friends from it. I get perks with the Chicago Symphony. I get to be involved with them. It's great. Additionally, I get to tell people that I'm involved with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, which, if people are picking between two composers for a gig, and one of them has great work examples and that's it, or the other has great work examples and is involved with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, it's a pretty easy decision there, right? So do that with brands, do that with people, do that with organizations, do that with events. Get involved so that you can, one, have a great experience being involved, but two, be able to tie yourself to these different events and say, this is the crowd that I associate with. This is what I am involved with. But ultimately, none of this replaces FaceTime. A face-to-face conversation over drinks or coffee or grabbing food or meeting them at a conference is always going to matter more than any of this other stuff that I've talked about so far. So, how to make that face-to-face stuff happen? First off, go to conferences and festivals. And there are some things that you should do before you go to conferences and festivals to make sure that you have a productive time while you're there. You are there for a purpose, so act accordingly. First off, research who is attending the conference before you go, and find projects and teams that you'd be excited to work with. Do not just go there and, I don't want to say flail around, but meander through a conference and expect to run into the exact person that you want. I think you should definitely plan time in your schedule to allow for yourself to do that a bit, but ultimately you need to be very purposeful with your time while you're at a conference. So find the projects teams you'd be excited to work with and email them beforehand. Try to set up a meeting. And if they can't dedicate time to just having a one-on-one meeting with you, tell them that's fine. If they have a booth, tell them you'll be stopping by just to say hi. As does a number of things. It's very intimidating, especially the first time that you're at a conference, to see a booth or group of people and a project that looks really engaging and interesting, and for everyone to be having conversations with everyone else. It's difficult to interject yourself into that situation and walk up and feel comfortable and confident. However, even if they don't have a one-on-one meeting set up, but someone is expecting you, you can walk up and say, hi, I'm here to meet with whoever, right? And immediately, if that's the person that you are trying to speak with, they've been expecting you. So already there's a barrier down for your level of comfort with each other. And if it's someone else on the team that is not that person, you've just dropped someone else on the team and said that they're expecting you. So they immediately say, oh, this person's supposed to be here. They're cool. They're part of this crowd, kind of already. So it just makes approaching those situations so much easier. So spend some time getting ready for conferences before you go. Set up meetings or just tell them you're going to be stopping by to say hi. Then exchange cards and bring a pen, just so you can write down specific information you want to remember and bring up later. Don't do this in front of them. Don't say, hey, thanks, and grab the card and then just write down stuff in front of the person. That's a no-go. But, go around the corner or maybe wait 10 minutes, and when you get a chance, write down some specific stuff that you can bring up later. This whole time, that you're emailing them, that you're talking to them, you should always make it completely about them and their project. It's not about you. Get them excited about what they're doing, and overall, make a friend. People want to work with friends, and it should be, I have a friend, and then, oh, I have this problem, and then it should click for them, oh, wait, and this friend I have does this thing. Well, I'm going to talk to my friend about doing the thing, as opposed to, well, this is just a person that does a thing. Having that personal relationship is so incredibly important, and many times is actually more important than your skill set. I would say unfortunately, but it's kind of also great at the same time. So there you go. Conferences and festivals. Again, this is for some DePaul students, so I have Chicago International Film Fest. You should go to the Game Developers Conference. Go to one of the PACs. There's a number that happen throughout the year. Go to Pocket Gamer Connects. Or if you're interested in the production music side of things or writing for music libraries, you should head to the Production Music Conference out in LA. All right, so how to market yourself. Networking. At a conference or any other sort of event, it can be very intimidating to be there for the first time. So, especially by yourself. So one thing that I do is I like to bring another person with me, because we're both comfortable with each other and we're both confident in the relationship that we have with each other, which is not how we feel with everyone else in the room. So if you approach a group of people and there's two of you, right? Let's say that the conversation ends up being a little awkward and you don't really get that involved with it, right? Instead of you standing there by yourself and feeling a little like a fish out of water, you can always talk to the person that you brought with you that's in the same situation as you as well, right? Also, it gives you the opportunity to have two people there, and then you can bring another person into your group. And in that situation, you and the other person are comfortable with one another, and then the other person is actually who feels like a fish out of water, right? Additionally, it can be really helpful in terms of setting each other up for approaching some of these potentially awkward social situations. It's happened before where I've been at a conference or an event with someone and we've both had a team that we wanted to talk to or a person that we wanted to make sure that we said hi to. So we would come together and talk about it and say, yeah, okay, so meet back here in 10 minutes. All right, go. Like break, go team. You then go and introduce yourself, talk to the person and whatnot, which can take a lot out of someone. And then only 10 minutes later, you meet up with the person at your designated time and place, and you can kind of recharge a bit and let your guard down a bit because you're back with someone that you're comfortable with. I mentioned this kind of already, but ultimately you're trying to make friends. You are not trying to make customers. You are trying to make friends that coincidentally become customers. So, and the way that you do that is you are interested in what they are doing and the projects that they are working on. Ask them questions about what they're doing. Do not try and tell them about how awesome you are. If you're awesome and they like you, they will take it upon themselves to look at what you're doing, or it will just organically happen later. You don't need to go through that. Be their friend. Be interested in what they're doing. Because again, you've researched these projects and these people, right? So you know that they are involved with something that you're interested in. So talk about them. All right. After the conference, follow up, and follow up. That can mean seeing them at future events, seeing if they're going to be at other conferences in the future. That can mean using your CRM and staying in touch. But it definitely means sending them an email within a week after the conference ends, just saying, hey, person, it was great meeting at so-and-so. I really loved talking about A, B, and C. And I'm glad that moving forward, we can stay in touch. Or, and insert whatever else was relevant to the conversation that you had. Remind them that you exist. Start that. And if someone is physically near you, every once in a while, just grab a coffee or drinks and just hang out. Again, you're trying to make friends that coincidentally become customers. You're not there trying to make customers. Another thing to do is to just be present in the community of whatever medium or industry you're in. And this is both digital as well as physical. So going to game jams or 48-hour film festivals or meetups or being present on Discord servers for different projects. all of that adds up, and that's how you can meet more people and be involved in the community. Additionally, you should know what you're best at. My wife and I are complete opposites in this. She is incredibly comfortable in large groups with people. She just has the personality that brings people together, facilitates conversation between other people, makes them comfortable with one another, and she's just great in those situations. I am petrified of them because I initially think, oh, if I say something a bit odd, weird, or silly, it doesn't come off that way to one person. It comes off that way to 10 people. Oh my gosh. And then it becomes this whole mental thing where I psych myself out. But I know that about myself. I know I perform much better in one-on-one situations. So if there's one person across the table from me, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm comfortable. And I can focus on that person, really listen to what they're saying, and have a deep conversation. And that's what I enjoy, and that's what I'm really good at. My wife is intimidated by those situations. So she always tries to find opportunities to be in group settings, while I always try to find opportunities to be in one-on-one settings. And we're both successful in our own ways because of it. And lastly, whoever it is that you're talking to or interested in, you help them however you can. And this is true in terms of your craft, and it's true for everything outside of it. Again, you're trying to be a friend first that coincidentally has customers from these friendships. There was a composer near me who was working on a very large broadcast TV show. And an organization I was involved with introduced me to him, and I grabbed coffee with him once, and our relationship was fine. Like, he was a really nice guy to take the meeting. It was fun, but we weren't close. We weren't friends yet. But he mentioned at the end of that he was actually moving in a few weeks, and I offered just to help him move just because. And he took me up on it, because who doesn't want someone to help them move? So I helped him move, and the outcome of that was he introduced me to his agent a few weeks later, and then his agent put me in touch with a number of people that were going to be at a conference that I was at a month or two after that. And I'm sure there's a myriad of other things that have happened from that move that I just frankly haven't connected those dots to realize that, oh, that actually comes from me doing this thing. So much of this industry is creating your own luck, essentially, and you never know where opportunities are going to come from. So this help them however you can is really great, because one, it endears you to them. They want to help you and reciprocate, and at the same time, you're doing a good, positive thing for another human being. I do not see the negative in this whatsoever. Hey, Internet, this is a quick reminder that the video you just watched is one in a series on starting a career as a composer and sound designer. I created about an hour-long talk and sliced it up into different topics, so as those videos become available, be sure to check them out. If you have a question on anything, feel free to throw that in the comments, and if you'd like some game, audio, music implementation goodness in your inbox every once in a while, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much.